Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I started out as a child, with apologies to Bill Cosby. I grew up in Staten Island, New York, little town of Tottenville, which is about as far south as you can be in New York City and not be in the water. My family eventually grew to five, my nuclear family. I have one brother, one sister, and my parents who stayed together all of their lives. I finally lost my mom early this year, but she had been subject to Alzheimer's for a number of years, so we had all basically said our goodbyes at that time. When I was a kid, a very remarkable thing happened. I went to first grade, and at the end of the year, they gave me what I presume was an IQ test. They sent me home with a workbook for English, basically, to complete over the summer. When I came back into second grade, I was in second grade for about 7 days. I remember that distinctly because they gave us a little index card with, we'd get a star every day if our hands were clean and our fingernails. And I accumulated 7 stars before they came in one morning and pulled me out. They said, "You're not going to be in this room anymore. You're going to be in the next room." They advanced me to third grade. So the effect of that was twofold. It honored my superior mentality, and it picked me up out of a group of people that I was just beginning to form all my friendships that would carry me all the way through my school career, and dropped me in a bunch of people that were strangers that all of that bonding was already over and done with. So the net effect was that I became a loner. In an effort to break through that barrier, I quickly became the class clown. I always had the brightest songs before I started singing, probably when I was about 5 with church kiddie choirs. And that's something that continued with me for my life, is an appreciation of music. I eventually learned to play the clarinet, played with the marching band, concert band, when I was in grammar school, high school, college. But I was still very much an introvert, very much the loner. Then I went 1,000 miles away to St. Louis, Missouri, where I went to college for 4.5 years. Met my best chum in the world, Larry Gilligan, who eventually dragged me out to California for a visit. And I liked it so much I stayed, never left. And during this time, I developed both the appreciation for music. I had gotten involved heavily with electronics and especially amplifiers and music related equipment. I also found out I had a very strong penchant for mathematics. Numbers were just one of my favorite things in the world. I had the ability somehow to see patterns in a way that a lot of people never really understand. And so in 1976, several of these disciplines came together when I started learning to square dance. And over a period of several years, I did a lot of dancing. I was playing with a little bit with being an amateur square dance caller. And in 1984, after a 5-year hiatus, I started dancing again in September, started calling in October. And so by this time, I have been approximately 35 years as a square dance caller. Can't call right now. Dancing is one of those activities that went down hard when COVID struck. But the music and the ability to sing and the patterns made by the dancers in the squares, it was all like a native thing to me. And all these things contributed to being a successful square dance caller. Then in 2003, I discovered Toastmasters. What an amazing world opened up to me, because not only was I well equipped to be on stage. I'd been used to being the MC with a microphone in my hand for 15 or 20 years at that point. But the ability to communicate was opened up, and it started allowing me to break out of my loner status and start making bonds and learning how to be a human being in conjunction and develop good relationships with other human beings. Then about 2007, I became a karaoke disc jockey. Again, a melding of the disciplines, being on the microphone, being able to sing, being able to be the host. It was a wonderful world. And so nowadays, this finds me where all those bad old times of being a loner have completely become evanescent, disappeared from my life. And now I still live alone. I like my solitude up to a point. I share my house with 2 cats and about 100 dragons. And life is good. Mr. Toastmaster.